Hello, I just wanted to jump on camera real quick and introduce myself. I am Calculate. I go by that name on online video games and various other forms and media. And I want to talk about this video real quick because it's one of the most exciting videos I've done so far. And the reason being, it goes back to an earlier time in computing where things aren't very easy to do. You don't have graphical user interfaces, you don't have vast amounts of resources available, and you just have to kind of work things through and figure them out on your own most of the time. Now, if you're new to DOS, you're not familiar with doing things this way, or I encourage you to watch this video all the way through because there's going to be a lot of things that don't go the way I expect them to. And I've been using DOS since that's pretty much all there was to use. So even still, I learned a couple things making this video, and to me that's just really interesting stuff, and I think you guys are going to enjoy what happens during this video. So enough about that. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be my last video on the old gateway computer for DOS games running Windows ME, and in this video we're going to finish up with getting pure DOS mode configured on this thing, and then we'll try out a couple games we have problems with running under Windows ME. So let's jump right in, and I've already installed the DOS mode patch for Windows ME, but let me run over the steps again because that was cut from my last video. I completely botched the process. I started talking about one thing and did something completely different, and it was just really confusing and a mess. So let's start over on that here. I've got the patch files in a folder here. And let's take a look at the instructions. And let me show you a quick tip here. If you ever have these NFO files, which are common in software downloaded from the internet, and you try and open them in Notepad, they look absolutely horrible like this. However, if you go in here to set font and pick, I believe, terminal, and set it to 9 point, they look normal. So in order to install this patch, follow the instructions. Stage 1, we have to copy command.com, io.sys, and regenv32.exe to a temp folder. Now, as long as I didn't delete it, those are going to be in there already. I put them in this backup folder. So I've copied these 3 files into here, and then the patch is this winmedos.com file, which was included in the zip file. That's right here. So copy that into your temp folder as well. And once these files are in here, just double click winmedos.com, and that modifies these 3 files to enable DOS mode. And then basically you just copy these 3 files back to their original location, which is detailed here. And then we edit our config.sys and autoexec.bat, which I've already done. And this last part here, add to the bottom of autoexec.bat the line C windows/win.com. That's the line that actually starts Windows. So let's take a look at those files real quick because we're going to set up the menu system to be able to select between DOS and Windows. We'll start with config.sys, just right click, open with Notepad. And there's the line required for the DOS mode patch. So, the first thing that we need is the menu parameter, which is just the word menu within brackets. And then we add menu item equals DOS, and the description is DOS. Then we're going to have menu item equals Win with the description of Windows ME. And our menu default will be DOS. And I'm just making an assumption here off the reference I'm looking at. I believe this number is going to be our time delay. We'll find out when we reboot. Okay, and then we add more headers for our menu items in brackets. First one will be DOS. And we're just going to add a few random lines in here that should probably help things along. More of this stuff will be put in once I actually install the CD and mouse drivers that we're going to need in the sound driver. So we'll just get the bare minimum stuff to be able to get into DOS mode for now. And we'll add our next header for Win. So what happens is when you select one of these menu options, it branches down to the matching header and executes those commands. Now I'm actually going to copy this into the DOS section so that if I boot to DOS and later start Windows, I can still do that. This ifshelp.sys is required before you start Windows. I'm not sure why, but I'm just going to trust what everything says. Okay, so let's save this file. And then we'll move on to autoexec.bat. You can see there's a lot of stuff in here already. Most of this was put in, if not all of it, by installing the sound driver. Okay, and then one thing we need to add up here at the top is @echo off, which hides all the junk that'll scroll across your screen, except for the output from actually loading these things. And then our next line is go to %config %. And that line jumps to the matching header from the config.sys file. So our first header, and these are put in a little bit differently, we start with a colon and then DOS. And that's going to execute all of these commands when we boot to DOS. We don't want Windows in there. So at the end of the commands that we do want, we add go to quit. And then this is our Win section, where all we're doing is starting Windows. And then our Quit header. We don't really need anything in there. It'll just end the file. Alright, so let's see if this works. I'm not sure what's going to happen, so here goes nothing. While this is rebooting, let me just show you guys real quick. I wound up adding a second CD drive into this computer, but it's not actually hooked up yet. You can see it's a Samsung Writemaster DVD dual layer. Closest thing I have to white, so doesn't look too bad if you ask me. Okay, here you can see our boot menu, and yeah, we do have 10 seconds to make our selection. So let's just boot to DOS and hope that it works. Okay. That was pretty easy. Alright, so we can't do much without a CD-ROM or mouse driver, so the first thing we're going to do is load that. And to do that, I have a floppy disk here. This has drivers for pretty much every brand on the market back in the day. Copyright 1996, so that is a very old floppy disk and very useful. If you guys would like a copy of this disk, let me know. It truly is a handy thing to have around if you're going to work in DOS. Let's see if I can remember how to run the installer here. Alright, if you're not sure which one to pick, usually the Mitsumi driver works for just about everything, so we're going to try that one first. Okay, asking us to reboot. It looks like everything worked, but first we need to check our config.sys and autoexec.bat files to make sure that it put everything in the right place. I'm not sure if we have our edit utility. We do. Okay. Yeah, it did not put the edits in here properly. This last drive equals Z should be on its own line, and these are in the wrong section. Okay, here's our CD-ROM driver line in the wrong place, of course. It even put an extra add echo offline in there. We don't need that. So let's put the CD driver first. And save. Control-Alt-Delete to reboot. Oh, it's trying to boot from the floppy disk. Okay, it is working. Expanded memory not present or not usable. That's okay, we can fix that later if we need to. I do have a CD in here that is not compatible with DOS. Well, that's unfortunate because a lot of DOS games are on that CD. So I'm gonna have to pause the video here in a little while and reburn that CD in a compatible format with DOS. However, we do need our DOS sound driver, and I have a copy of the factory AWE 64 sound driver CD. Hopefully that driver is on there somewhere. Okay. I poked around some of the files on here within Windows beforehand, so theoretically going into the CT-Run 16 folder should get us started. No, needs Windows. Well, we'll come back to that. I also have a mouse driver disk, which is going to come in handy for some of these games, especially the build engine games. I don't know yet if this is going to work for the USB wireless keyboard and mouse that I have, but only one way to find out. So it looks like we need to run install.bat. Okay. Alright, now since that modified our autoexec.bat, we need to edit that again to make sure everything's in the right place. Well, it says it edited this. I don't see the new line yet. Oh. There it is. I think we need to add C in there. Save that and exit. Alright, we'll do another reboot, check the mouse driver. Installed on PS2 mouse port. Okay, I think the BIOS is handling the USB to PS2 emulation quite well, so let me see if there's a way we can test that real quick. CD space. No, let's do it with Doom 2. We're not going to have sound, but I'm just checking if the mouse actually does something. Oh wow, the sound does work. And so does the mouse. This is excellent. I don't have music, but it is playing actual sound effects. Frame rate actually seems really low. Ran a lot smoother under Windows. Okay, we'll come back to that once the sound driver's done. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video, and when I come back I should have a functional Dasgame Cd and the sound driver ready to install. Alright guys, I'm back. I think I have everything figured out now. So I do have my Dasgame CD burned properly in the ISO 9660 format, and when the sound worked in Doom 2 earlier, it made me realize that all the DOS games actually have the sound drivers hard-coded into them. So we don't actually have a driver per se to load for DOS. However, we do need to, because the AWE is a plug-and-play card, we have to load a utility to configure it for DOS. So that's what we're going to do now. And I've copied the files onto the hard drive in the PNP, short for plug and play folder, and this should get us going. Okay, can't really tell that we're in DOS, probably because it's the Windows ME version, which I think that's DOS 8.0, I'm not sure. I kicked this out, so I wonder if there's a way we can override that. There's a set version variable we can put into the autoexec.bat, I believe. That might help here. Let me research that and I'll come back. Alright, I just did some research on various things here, and I think I've got a plan to get this sound card working. Turns out a lot of the stuff that we need are in the Windows directory already, which is pretty cool actually. The setver command I mentioned is actually a device driver that needs to be loaded, and to load that we need to edit our config.sys file. If I can spell. And we just add a device statement in here. Let's put this first. Device equals C Windows setver.exe. We'll save that and exit and reboot. Now I am having a minor problem with this computer. When I exited the Doom 2, I couldn't use the keyboard, so something with the USB emulation doesn't play nice with DOS, it seems, so I had to go hook up a PS2 keyboard, and that's what I'm using now. Alright, so now if we go into our PNP folder, I should be able to set the version reported for install.exe. Okay, it says it was updated successfully with some kind of nonsense warning, and you have to reboot for this to take effect. So let's see what happens. I've never actually done this before, so just kind of winging it here. Haha, it actually worked. Excellent. Okay, learn something new every day. Enter to continue. Now this thinks we have Windows 3.1, we really don't. Hopefully it doesn't screw up Windows ME. Alright, it's showing us it's going to add this stuff to our startup files. So we got to go in and edit those after this. Press enter to continue. Okay, it wants us to reboot, of course. Oops. But first we gotta put everything in the right place in our files because of that boot menu structure. Okay, this line was added by the installing the Windows driver for the sound card. So that REM stands for remark, which means it's just going to ignore that one. Alright, so that should be all we need to do for that file. And then let's open config.sys. And I see I put this common flag in here. I'm not sure if that's all we need or not. Let's try it. Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, so it is loading that everything that we need except the configuration utility because it thinks we're in Windows 95. So I think I'm going to have to do the setver command for that file. Alright, let's reboot one more time and see if it loads. No, it's still not working. This is interesting. What else do we have in this folder? It has its own README program. Let's check it out. I've already read through this file actually. Okay, I don't think we really need CTCU anyways. I don't know. We'll revisit that later, I guess. So let's go to blood because that will let you test the sound within the setup program. You can see I've got it set to AWE 32, which does work on the 64. Yeah, I'm not getting any music. So there's something missing here. I wonder if we try general Midi. Nope, that doesn't work either. Okay, do some more research and I'll come back when I've got this figured out. Alright, I'm back. Looks like there's nothing I can do to get that CTCU utility to run from the Windows ME version of DOS. So I have a genuine MS-DOS 6.22 boot disk that we're going to boot from and see if I can get it to work under that just to check everything out. Okay, yeah, I was afraid of this. I also read that DOS cannot read a FAT32 formatted hard drive, which of course is what we have. So I also have a Windows 98 startup disk. I wonder if that's gonna work. I don't think it's labeled, so I gotta find it. Pretty sure that's it. So let's do this again. And we don't need CD-ROM support. Let's see. There you have it. So you can use a Windows 98 boot disk to read a FAT32 drive. However, I don't know if it works with CTCU. It does. I don't know what we need to do in here, if anything. Okay. Apparently there's a file missing. Okay. I wonder if a copy of that is in our Windows directory. Ah, there is a copy. Okay. So let's copy that. Yep, there we go. Okay. Gives us a test option. I don't think that's going to work. Success. Okay. Never used this before, so I'm just kind of poking around. Okay. This is set to the IO range 300 for Midi, which defaults to 330 on most computers, I believe. Yeah, you can see there that configuration 0 is 330. Well, there's a ton of configurations in here. Let's try using that. 330 IRQ5 DMA1, 16-bit DMA5. Probably the most generic configuration possible. Should work. Okay. Reconfigure. Okay. Game port, pretty standard there. Okay. I don't know, I guess we're done in here. So if I run CTCM, let's set different settings than we just saw under CTCU. So I'm not sure what the correlation is between the two. Yeah, this is still... I don't know if this actually sets anything or what. Curious if I can do this. No. Okay, so the CTCU did put new variables into our set blaster line here. I'm going to reboot into regular DOS and see if it uses those values. We didn't get to see. Since we have a problem with this, I'm just going to remark that out. That's that CTCU that doesn't work under the ME version of DOS. Probably wouldn't have that problem if I was using Windows 98, but I like to play around, so. If that did work, we should have to update our DOS game configurations to use the new settings. this auto detects everything, and it looks like it's still on the other stuff. Yeah, alright, well, still missing something for the music, so I don't know. More research, I'll be back. Okay, so I did some poking around Creative's website and came across an AWE config or AWE util file that claims to fix certain DOS games that support the AWE 32 and have no sound. So I've copied that over to the hard drive, the CTCM folder, just to kind of keep everything organized. AWE util. So let's see what options we have for this. I don't know which of these commands we need. So let's just okay, TSR installed. Oh god, that's not good. That's actually horrible. But we're making progress. Oh, shut up, please. I'm sorry if your ears are bleeding right now. Let's go back to, yes, TCM and try a different option here. I wonder what initialize only does. I think that's the same as not doing anything. So let's try EM, enable Midi emulation. Using general Midi, that always works nice. Oh, we don't have any sound font files. So let's see if we do that without GM. Oh, we don't have any other options really. Let's see if sound works in Doom 2. Which this is set for general Midi, I believe. Let's check that. Oh no, it does support the AWE 32. I actually didn't think it did. Port 300. Hey, it works. So let's see if blood works. Huh. Okay, I don't know what's different this time. Sounds okay. Not great, but okay.
I live again.
That one's a little loud. Alright, now we can move on to some more exciting things. As I said, I've got the Dasgame Cd I wanted to check out reburned properly. So let's do that. Before I forget, we need to put that AWE util command into autoexec.bat. We'll just go down here at the end. Let's see if that works. Alright, so this is a special CD I created. It's a compilation of multiple full registered version CDs all kind of merged into one. It's got Duke Nukem 3D, Rise of the Triad, Terminal Velocity, and Doom 2, possibly all of the Doom versions. Doom 2 and Final Doom, it looks like, is all that's on there. And then there's some shareware programs, which nothing really special in there. So, alright, let's get some of these installed. I think I already installed Duke Nukem 3D. So let's jump to Rise of the Triad. And the reason I wanted to show you guys this is it has this neat little graphical installer. You've got your full registered version of the game, and then you can play it from the CD directly if you're crazy enough. And then it's got these shareware versions of some other games. Blake Stone, we saw that in one of the previous videos. Wacky Wheels, Raptor, Hocus Pocus. That's a game we're going to try out here in a minute, because that would not run under Windows ME. And Duke Nukem 2, Terminal Velocity, and the shareware version of Rise of the Triad. So let's install that. Do you want to exit and play the game? Sure. Need to configure the sound card. We have AWE32. Looks like it detected everything correctly. We're going to max this baby out. Sound works. And music works. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. This is another excellent, excellent game from back in the day. The cheat codes in this were almost as fun as the game itself because of what they did. Dual-wield pistol here. There is a secret right here in the beginning. I don't know if you guys have played the remake of this that came out a couple years ago. The first level is pretty similar, but I don't know, I just didn't care for that version of it at all. It didn't have the same feel as the original, so there's a switch or something somewhere, I'll find it. I don't know. But as I was saying about the cheat codes, the best one to use is giblets or something, where when you kill somebody they just explode into a ton of jibs or gibs or however you want to say it. And you'd have like eyeballs rolling down the screen. It was really impressive. But the weapons in here are pretty insane. There's several different rockets you can get for the rocket launcher. They'll just go flying all over the place, or you'll have multiple rockets swarming around. Easy way to waste a couple hours. Alright, we've already got Hocus Pocus on here, so let's check that out real quick. In the absence of native AWE support, General Midi should work fine. Alright, let's play. Oh, what? No. I think I'm gonna have to set up a special branch of my startup menu in autoexec.bat to have a custom blaster environment variable that this game can tolerate. That's disappointing because I really like that game. So, alright, let's check out terminal velocity. And this has the same graphical installer that Rise of the Triad did. Shareware version of Rise of the Triad, and pretty much all the same game demos from the Rise of the Triad CD. Oh, that's not good. I think that probably happened because my original copy of the CD got scratched to the point where it wouldn't work anymore, and I had trouble. I had to like download a full copy of the game from the internet and copy files into the install folder, and there was some conflicts and extra files in there I tried to trim out. So let me see if I can find this on another computer somewhere, and I'll come back when this is working. Alright, so I don't know what happened. Turns out that file we couldn't find trying to run setup earlier is corrupt on the CD somehow. I couldn't even copy it using DOS itself. So what I had to do was install the shareware version of the game and then copy over all of the registered version files into the shareware directory, and then run a trib. I'll show you what I did. A trib star minus R, because when you copy a file from a CD under DOS, it copies it with the read-only attribute. So you have to run this afterwards to remove that read-only attribute so that the setup utility or whatever else you're doing can actually modify the files. So all the dirty work's done. No one else in the world should ever have to do this, because I don't think anyone else in the world has this CD with this corrupt file on it. So game is installed, sound card is configured. Let's play it. Subwoofer rumbling the desk a little bit. So if you've never played this before, make sure you go into the options and sound options, because it defaults to very low bit rate. It sounds like crap. So you take that up to 2250, and it will actually go to 44100, but you can't do stereo. As soon as you set stereo, it drops it back down, and the highest you can go to is 2250. So we'll leave that there. Then you want to check out your graphics options, and these are all going to default to 486 or off, or something that doesn't look very good. So if you have a fast enough computer, of course, set all of these to Pentium, and debris on overkill just for extra visual candy. You can't set texture to high detail in the shareware version, so just be aware of that. Alright, new game, episode 1, normal. Now I have a GamePort joystick I used to use for this game. It's not hooked up at the moment, so we're just going to use the keyboard. Arrow keys to move your airplane around. A and Z adjust the throttle. Spacebar fires your lasers. If you don't have a very good keyboard, chances are you'll try pressing too many keys at once in this game, and you won't be able to do certain maneuvers. So if you do have a joystick, I highly recommend getting one, or hooking it up rather. See around the satellite dish, the high-res textures are kicking in. Unfortunately, it doesn't add those textures to the entire terrain. So yeah, that's terminal velocity. CD I created, there's expansion levels for the game. I don't even know if I've ever played those. And I've also got extra levels for Rise of the Triad, which I don't think I've played those either. But now that I've got a computer that's able to do all this, I'll probably get into those. The last game I'll look at today is Duke Nukem 3D, because this would not run at an acceptable frame rate. Oh, I didn't even install it yet. Or let's see. Forgot the slash. Yeah, this would not run under Windows with an acceptable frame rate, so we're going to try it under pure DOS. Okay, sound card works. We're going to try these beta modes. Oh yeah, this is already much better. It wouldn't even do the intro properly. This computer's fast enough to run 800 by 600, but we're going to find out.
Let's rock. Damn, those alien bastards
Ooh, it is not.
are shooting up my ride.
This is extremely jerky. The mouse is working. Need to invert the mouse. I don't think I can do that within the game. Let's try a lower screen resolution. I'm not sure if that's the video card that can't handle it very well or the processor, because I want to say I've had this game working. I think I had an Athlon 1 gigahertz on my last computer I played this on, and that did it pretty well. So I do have a faster Pentium 3 processor I can put in here that might help, but it's a slower frontside bus, and I'm not sure if the trade-off is going to be worth it. I may shop around on eBay and get something that's faster and maintains the 133 megahertz frontside bus. So we can do 640 by 480, and we need to invert the mouse. I don't know if you can. There's got to be a way. I know I've done this before. Mouse aiming, toggle crosshair. Am I just not seeing it? Mouse X, mouse Y. Maybe inverting the scale? Oh, let's try it. Watching the demo real quick to see, because that was a little bit jerky too, and it's still going to slow down a little bit.
Let's rock. Damn, those alien bastards in the paper shooting up my ride.
Yeah. So setting our scale to -1 did invert the up and down, so that's what we needed. little jerky. I'm gonna have to get a faster processor in here for sure. I might try a Voodoo 3 because I know that card works extremely well for this game. Yeah, I can't even keep up with the music, so it's really struggling. I think I have Shadow Warrior on here too. Yeah, I do. But, alright, well, I would call this a 99% success, only because I can't get Hocus Pocus to run yet, and I'm having these performance issues. So, alright, that'll be the last video for this computer. If you guys ever want to know any updates on this, just let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for my next video. We're going to be looking at a newer, well, an older / newer gateway computer. The case itself is older, but the components are not stock at all. The motherboard in the computer we just looked at is from the other one, and that's going to be for playing Windows 98 games. Quite a bit more exciting than this one has been, I think, just because of what I was able to accomplish with that one. So that's going to be my next series. Alright, I'm out, guys. Thanks.